Welcome back to the Blindside Blitz, the podcast where the takes come fast, the hits come harder, and we break down the biggest stories shaping the NFL. Free agency is officially in full swing, and the league is in absolute chaos. Big names are packing their bags, stars are finding new homes, and front offices are throwing money around like confetti, trying to build the next contender. Every signing, every trade, every surprise move could be the difference between a playoff run and a long, cold off season. Today, we're diving headfirst into the madness, which moves are game changers, which teams just leveled up overnight, and which signings might blow up in spectacular fashion. Because in the NFL, one player can shift the balance of power in an instant. So buckle up. The roster shakeups are just getting started, and we're breaking it all down. This is the Blindside Blitz. All right, Joe, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you again. Another year of Blindside Blitz. We are back, and Joe, it is just getting heated up right away. I mean, we're jumping faster than this thing, and there is news instantly right now.
Oh my God. We said it before, we said it again. This is going to be a crazy offseason like it always is. And so crazy that we had a Maxx Crosby trade early on, about 3 days ago for a 26 first rounder, a 27 first rounder, shipping him to the Baltimore Ravens. Now sounds like the trade's getting rescinded. The Ravens are backing out. They're calling it a quote failed physical. Is it really? Who knows? But I gotta say this, that now Crosby is now going to be basically staying in Vegas, at least for the time being. Is it another team steps up to the plate, maybe to get a trade done? I don't know, but I gotta ask all the Ravens fans out there, how you feeling? All the Raiders fans, the Raider Nation, how are you feeling about this whole scenario? Let us know in the comments down below. I'll be waiting for it.
He'll be waiting for it. Joe, yeah, I mean, we were prepared to get onto the show and talk about the significance of the move and everything and what this means for the Ravens, what it means for
Yeah.
the Raiders moving forward. And now it's just backing out. So what does this mean for the Ravens? Like we're hearing it's the injury, and we know that, you know, Maxx Crosby has, gone through, the surgery, last year, and coming back to that and having to go through rehab. But was it really just the, rehab and he wasn't ahead of schedule like Crosby claimed, back a while bit about being ready to go and stuff. So was it that, or was it just buyer's remorse? 'Cause one thing that the Ravens did do that is kind of different, and especially in their franchise history, is that this was the first time in their 31-year franchise that the Ravens were willing to trade a first round pick and actually two 2026 and a 2027 for a veteran player. So is there buyer's remorse? What is the deal here? What does it mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question on everybody's minds. The fact that, like, how true is it from the Baltimore side of things saying that it was a failed physical? This guy's rehabbing from an injury. You know that this wasn't just a twisted ankle or, something so minor where you could kind of, say, whatever. This was a major surgery on his knee that he had in the offseason, or that he had last season. And now, is it buyer's remorse? Is it are the doctors? Because it's different when you talk about doctors throughout the league. All 32 teams have doctors, right? But every doctor doesn't view an injury the same way. Some doctors might be a little bit more strict and say, well, any little issue or the injury isn't healing according to the schedule, they'll throw a red flag up and say, don't trade for this guy, don't sign this guy. But then there's other teams, there's other doctors that might be a little bit more lenient, where they're like, well, we can project this. He'll be 100% healthy by week 1. No worries. Let's just get the deal done. But man, you got to wonder, is this an excuse, Jim? Like, is this, like you mentioned earlier, buyer's remorse? It's a real thing. And you just said that this is the first time in the Ravens history that, they've traded a first round pick, and not just one, but two, for a veteran player. Could this be a little bit of that where, like, hey, we got to make up an excuse? we got to come up with something because man, I don't feel good about this anymore. We did initially. We were giving up a 14th overall pick this year and next year's first, wherever that's going to end up. But now all of a sudden this goes down, and it's awfully funny because there's something apparently a NFL GM reacted to this story that broke,
Mhm.
and his words were hilarious. He basically said, I'm not going to read it verbatim, but basically he said that the Ravens are full of shit. Like this is complete bullshit on the Ravens' part. And we've seen teams do this before, Jim. We've
Mm.
seen teams back out of trades. We've seen teams like not sign a player because maybe they bring him in for a physical, just like Baltimore did, and they're like, well, initially we were going to agree to a deal, but man, dude, your shoulder's screwed up. Like
Mhm.
we're not going to do this, and they cancel it. So it's not the first time this has happened, but this is major news just because of the caliber of player that's involved.
Right, and, I think it's the whatever excuse they wanna give, like, I still feel like he's all there. This is his first time he's had a major injury like this in his career. Besides that, this guy is a beast all over the field, and he checked all the boxes for the Baltimore Ravens. You look at a team last year that the pass rush was one of the league's least productive, tied for 3rd to last with only 30 sacks. He has a career 69 and a half sacks, and that would definitely boost their production. Plus, if you look in the fourth quarter, he's one of the most productive pass rushers there, where the Ravens, what happens? They fold in the fourth quarter, give up leads. 16 leads in the final 5 minutes over the last 5 seasons have been given up. Statistically, for Maxx Crosby, 22 and a half fourth quarter sacks since 2019. He checked all the boxes. I don't care if you're giving away 2 first-round picks. That tells me now, it tells the fans, it tells the players, we're going all in to win because that's what it takes. We need these teams do this. Do what it takes to win now because the Ravens have had opportunities to get there
Mhm.
and have fallen short. And you can blame a bunch of different things. Lamar, you can blame, Andrews for dropping the one catch, blah, blah. It's all been there. The pressure has been there to win. Kansas City wasn't in the moment last year, and Baltimore couldn't do it. Yes, they dealt with some injuries here, but so did a lot of other teams. And they just didn't get it done. This was a player to help bolster that defense. Offense needs to get it going here. It fit the scheme of what their new uh, head coach was looking for.
Yeah.
It made all the sense. And like you said, you don't have, John Harbaugh there anymore to blame. So this was the win now type of mentality, the type of do it. And now the fact that they're back out, what are they doing now? Are they going to go bargain basement shopping now? I mean, what does that tell the franchise? What does that tell your players?
Yeah, so like here's the history of Max Crosby's injuries. So in 23, he played through a suspected infected knee bursa. Started all 17 games, but played through an injury, had some work done in that offseason. In 24, suffered a left high ankle sprain, which isn't a big deal. That just takes rest and it'll recoup on its own. And then just recently is the biggest deal. The biggest injury that he's ever sustained is that left knee injury. It looked, and a lot of people wanted to clarify it in the offseason. Oh, it's just a go in and clean up. It's going to be like a minor surgery. No, it wasn't. It was a major surgery. There was more repair that needed to be done that was initially not thought of. So it was a bigger deal. Had that surgery, has been recouping and rehabbing very well, it looks like. I mean, you see all the videos on TikTok from Crosby, and he does like, Instagram videos of him playing basketball in the off season. So it looked like the rehab was going well. So this is a little perplexing. This is why I'm speculating that this was an excuse more than a reason to back out of the deal.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. So there you go. That's the Maxx Crosby deal as far as we know it right now. Other teams now that could potentially be interested. I know the Cowboys were originally one of the teams there looking at them, but they
Yeah.
just signed a few different players too to help their defense too. One being Rashad Gary, and
Yeah, they traded for him.
Thompson. Yeah, they traded for him and making moves here to help their defense here in the secondary and the safety position. So it seemed like once they were out of the Maxx Crosby deal, they started, grabbing, players here, and other teams have kind of done that. So what does that mean for the Ravens moving forward? Do they go after their rival and trying to get maybe Trey Hendrickson or something like that? What does that mean for him and where he's going to go? And what other teams feel like now they're interested or they're willing to say, "Hey, Crosby, okay, he looked good before. We'll take a shot at that. Let's bring him in."
Yeah, one last thing about this whole deal is the amount of teams that were interested. The Cowboys were basically runners up on this deal besides Baltimore. I know the Chicago Bears were very, interested. But then as we had a couple days pass and the if you want to call it the tampering period opens up officially, um, even though they do this thing all year,
Yeah.
uh, they were spending money, these teams. Baltimore was spending money now that they knew that they had Crosby's deal to kind of work into it. Now that frees up extra cap space, obviously, for them, or it probably never really affected because the new league year is tomorrow, so nothing officially went through. 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. But they were figuring it out just in case, right? And now you got these other teams like the Cowboys spending money, and because they thought they were out of this whole trade sweepstakes for Crosby. So now who knows? Are the Cowboys going to even be interested because they just already allocated money elsewhere? The Rams were interested early on in the very beginning stages. Would they even revisit it knowing that full well they don't give a crap about draft picks? They might be willing to jump back into the ring and maybe make a trade for Crosby. So that's a team to watch. The Detroit Lions were another team that was interested. So all those teams now, do they say, "Hey, oh man, that didn't happen. We're back into this conversation. We're back in and interested to trade for Crosby." So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, tomorrow's going to be a new day. Maybe we start hearing some things because until 4 p.m., where deals can be finalized and worked out, you might see some teams back out of free agent deals that they initially did just to pursue Crosby now. So this whole thing has been an absolute circus. I mean, to the point where your head's spinning right now. If you're a Ravens fan, a Raiders fan, or one of these teams that were interested in
Mm.
trading for Crosby, man, what are you thinking at this moment? Drop down the comments down below. We want to hear from you guys about this Crosby situation, whether you're involved as a fan or not. We do cherish every comment down below. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Raider Nation out there. I mean, everybody, what you think. If you're a team out there, you still think that you guys should grab them, you let us know too. Joe, right? So it's free agent signing, it's trades going on. Like nothing is technically official yet, like you just said,
Right,
because we thought
right.
this was a done deal a
Exactly.
couple of days ago. And so that's all different now. But uh give us the news across the horn here. Let's get right into it.
All right, so we're yesterday, Trent McDuffie, the Kansas City
Mm.
Chiefs nickel corner, a guy that's very versatile, can play outside and inside, one of the best corners in the league, bar none. The Chiefs decided to trade him going to the LA Rams, which I felt was interesting. This goes to show you, like, the Rams really don't care about their picks. Now, they gave up the 29th overall pick, their second first rounder, and what else? They gave up their fourth, fifth, and next year's third. That's what it was. So they gave up a lot for McDuffie, but McDuffie happens to be 25 years old. They did agree to a new deal, so they gave him that extension, made him one of the highest paid contracted as a corner. Like, it's absolutely
Mhm.
insane. But he's going to LA. Now his job is going to be the one job that they had issues with when they played Seattle, and that's defend JSN. That was
Mhm.
a big hole on their defense. There was no corner in the slot that could stay with JSN or even give him problems. Now you got Trent McDuffie to handle that part. So I this is something that isn't new to Kansas City. I know Chiefs fans out there are probably irate about this, and I get it. Being that a guy who is still young in his prime at 25 years old, why would you just make this move? Kansas City is known for moving on from guys a little early because they don't want to spend the big time money to retain them, whether they're 25 or 28 or whatnot. Chiefs decide to move on from them. Rams got to be super happy now. They got an answer for the secondary. And you know what? Rams are rebooting for another Super Bowl run. That's what this tells me. So it is what it is. I mean, I'm happy for I'm happy for McDuffie, obviously, because the Raiders won't have to deal with them anymore. But you know, it's one of these things where like we don't really anticipate these kind of trades happening because as a fan, like if you're a Chiefs fan, you're like, oh no, we're just gonna extend him because he's young and not even think about trading him. But sometimes these organizations have their own ideas, and now we come away shocked.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, this is what you have to look at it outside of the box of being a fan. As a fan, I know there's a lot of players I would never like to let them go, and be traded away and stuff. But you have to understand to get your team better, you have to be able to make some of these different moves. So it's not like the Chiefs are like, oh, that's it. Well, Patrick Mahomes, now we can't restructure your deal so much. Now we got to get rid of you. I mean, certain players that are flexible that they can move, that they feel like they can even address the situation in the draft. And that's why you get some of that draft capital. And if comfortable enough with those picks that you're confident that you can go and get a key player for them, because you got to face facts. And the facts are that the Chiefs are facing over $57 million over the cap right now. So they need to make moves. They need to get rid of dump some of those contracts. If they wanted to re-sign some players, they're actively trying to restructure some as well. And you had to make room for Kenneth Walker III, though, right, to get there, right, Joe? They addressed the situation. They let go of McDuffie, who we really liked, again, shutdown type of corner. He can go to LA to help address those guys there and help them win now. But you addressed a position to where last year, that was one of the glaring things that just stuck out to you for the Chiefs. Pacheco was injured, and when he even came back, he's not the same guy that he was before. He's not running as hard. Just when you can't, that's your best ability. Like sort of like Lamar when he was coming back a little early and banged up. He wasn't being Lamar. He wasn't running the ball around a lot. He was trying to stay in the pocket and throw. He wasn't the same. And when you're not that guy, what makes you special? You're just not going to be as effective. And that's kind of what Pacheco was for them last year. So the running game, just to put in perspective, the Chiefs last year as a total between their running backs had 1,247 rushing yards, 3.7 yards per carry, and tackles avoided 47. Now look at Kenneth Walker III by himself, 1,027. Yards per carry on average is 4.6 and 78 tackles avoided. So he's their whole running team right there. You might as well get rid of the rest of them, just have him right there because he was handling it all himself with a guy that even split time with Charbonnet until he got injured and then he took more of a workload. But what a productive player. What a good signing by the Chiefs here. And that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to unload some of these other contracts to make some of these other bigger deals happen to address other holes.
Yeah, so the Chiefs currently are actually 21 million under the cap. They've done a
Yep.
phenomenal job on restructuring yet again Holmes's deal because it was
hmm
massive. He was due to be
hmm
paid 75 million this season. They reduce it, they give him his money up front, and that reduces the cap. So they made that move. You saw Juwan Taylor get
hmm
released, a guy who has cost some of the games were his fault. Let's just say what it is. He got way too many inconsistent penalties, whether it be false start or not lining up correctly. I mean, it was insane. So the Chiefs move on from him. Now that creates a big question mark, right? Like, so now what do they do at right tackle? Are they going to go into the draft and draft a tackle? They're picking number 9 overall, so they could easily kind of facilitate that need and take care of it if they believe in it. And as far as the Chiefs signing Kenneth Walker, kudos to them. And this is a guy who's still young and in the middle of his prime. We talk about McDuffie being 25. Well, Kenneth Walker is
hmm
25 as well. And this is
hmm
this is something that they've been sorely needing on offense, is they haven't had a difference maker or a featured back, if you want to give him that title. But now they do.
Yeah.
On the other side of things for the Chiefs, you are signing a guy who typically cannot stay on the field as well. A guy who, when he is given full-time duties, he's missed significant time in Seattle. And that's why you saw with Clint Kubiak's offense last year how they had a two-back system. Until Charbonnet got injured, it was almost 50-50 between, delving out the carries between the both of those running backs. So hopefully he can hold up. He can stay healthy. Now having a full workload, which what it looks like anyway in Kansas City. So I think it's a good deal for both parties involved. Walker gets paid, moves on, and he won the Super Bowl, right? So,
Mhm.
and now he goes to Kansas City, and they're hoping that they can do the same with Walker.
Absolutely, Joe. I like it. All right, what else do we got here?
Next, we got to talk about our guy Tua, right?
Yeah.
Tua, a guy who has had Miami fans absolutely irate at him, wanting to basically beat the crap out of him after every game. For the most part, because he's laughing on the sideline, even though they're getting crushed. I mean, this guy is not a leader. You can see it. The guy's, whatever. And he's got his limitations. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He is short. He has issues seeing over the middle of the field. Like the Dolphins fans know this. It's not news to anybody. But Tua goes and they release him. He's going to the Atlanta Falcons. And this is interesting because we've been debating and talking about the Atlanta Falcons quarterback room. What does it mean? Are they going to go with Michael Penix, come back from injury full time? And that's what it sounded like anyway. They're going to release Kirk Cousins. He's going to be able to go and look, maybe find a different team that is interested in him. And they're bringing in Tua, which is weird because the latest on this whole thing is now that they have Tua in the building, everybody, Atlanta fans included, thought that Penix, when he comes back, okay, that's it, clean slate. He's definitely the starter. Well, hold up, everybody. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Mhm.
Tua is going to be competing for the starting job, it turns
Mhm.
out. So Penix and him are going to be battling. They're not just going to hand it to Penix, it sounds like now. What do you make of this, Jim? This is insane, isn't it?
Well, do you see this with coaching changes, regime changes, there. So that's why they're going to say it like, hey, listen, we're making this move now and we're putting our stamp on this. So I think the whole thing is really outlandish and out of control. I mean, Miami willing to just absorb the record
Oh,
$99 million dead
oh,
cap hit. You
oh,
know me, Joe. I'm not really a cheap person, but I look at my money and I'm just kind of like, I'm paying him not to be here. Well, I'd rather just pay him to be here then, I mean, or something, and then figure it out because you're
right.
gonna you're paying him anyways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Essentially. Yeah.
if you know already that it isn't yours, if you're a new coach coming to the team as well, maybe you're just instantly you're like, no, I don't like him. Miami goes and brings in
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. So and that's fine, and you want to compete that way, that's fine and stuff, but then I would just maybe keep him on the roster for a solid backup if something happens with Malik Willis, or just a flat out competition again.
Mhm.
Um, but the fact to let him out on the hook now and absorb all the money, not get anything from anybody, and now on the opposite side with Atlanta, situation that they had, and now they don't have a head coach anymore. They have a new head coach and regime in there, and Matt Ryan's in there. So maybe he was like, hey, maybe we can bring in Tua in here and then he can compete for a job too on top of this one with Michael Penix Jr. But what does that say even for Michael Penix Jr. there now? I mean, you had to compete a little bit against, Kirk Cousins. He was automatically given the starting job, but once he kind of started to teeter a little bit, they threw Penix in there to get the playing time, named a starter, and gets injured again. But now you've got two injury prone quarterbacks on your
Mm.
roster. So are you going to get a healthy one to play for a full season or not? Or are you going to have to go back to both back and forth? You never know. And you just already shelled out money before to an aging Kirk Cousins. So a lot of crazy maneuvers by Atlanta at the quarterback spot and a lot of uncertainty, especially if you don't believe in Michael Penix Jr. so far.
So you have the crash test dummy in Tua, who likes to always, bump his head and then he's out for the rest of the season. And then you have Penix, who is quickly becoming closer and closer to that label of injury prone. A
Mm.
guy who continues to blow ACLs and get flat tires. And what are we looking at now? Like the the length of Penix's career is shortening every season now. And I wonder if now that like you brought up, new regimes will make some personal changes otherwise and the fan bases are unhappy with. And this could be one of those things where, like, I got to imagine my brother's a Falcons fan. He's probably losing his shit right now to hear that they even
Yeah.
signed Tua. Like he doesn't even like Tua at all, first of all, and I don't know
Mm,
how many people do as a quarterback, but holy crap. I think that
That
this
is one big
regime
pile of shit.
change is now meddling with the ideas that they shouldn't be meddling with. Like Penix is your younger guy. He deserves to at least see what he can do. Can he stay healthy this upcoming year? Start him right away. If he gets injured, then Tua comes in. It's that's how
mhm.
simple it should be. But now rumors are out of Atlanta saying that Tua is not only there as another quarterback, but also he's legitimately going to have a chance to win the job. Why would you entertain that if you're the Falcons? Because you still got to figure out if Penix is your franchise guy or not. Now, what are you going to do? Like, if Tua happens to win somehow, right? Does that mean that Penix is now he just becomes the backup again and he has to wait his turn? We talk about how bad Cleveland is ran. I gotta admit I'm not happy or not, I'm not even trusting this new regime so far in Atlanta. They're making some weird decisions, and I don't think it's gonna set them up for success.
Yeah, and like we talked about it in the offseason, they got rid of their GM, they got rid of the head coach. So these guys, I think, are going out to make their stamp. And we've seen this before when there was another regime there, and then these guys come in and like, well, I don't like this guy, I don't want to do this, and I want to see this. I'm gonna
Mm,
build it my way. And we're gonna tear it down and we're gonna build it
right.
up.
Yeah.
And this is what we're witnessing here, I think,
Ooh,
more of anything. It's not just
yikes.
like, "Oh, hey, let's take this and go." But that's what I think is very interesting because for me, if you're a head coach looking for a job and you wanna go and find a spot, I understand if it's your first time trying to get into the coaching field, you're like, "Hey, I'll take that job to be a head coach for an NFL team. Why not?" But there would have to be something there that says, "This is drawing me here. I really find interest in this team." They were a competitive team again last year without some mishaps here and
Right.
there. They were
Yep.
competitive for the
Oh,
division
yeah.
again.
Good
So
defense too.
you would look at it as, hey, I like these parts. I like these parts. Now I just need to move around with this. This tells me now that, hey, I'm coming in here, but I don't believe in anybody here. I took the job despite the quarterback, and I'm going to try and find somebody. But when is that? You know what I mean? I don't think if you feel like you could win the division now, I don't think getting to it is the thing that's going to push you over the edge.
No,
And that's what I feel
not at
like.
all.
If you weren't sure about Michael Penix Jr., then you're getting another veteran that isn't, injury prone or this and that, or has the turnover mistakes that he's had, especially as of recently. A lot of head scratching moves here on this one here for me. It's
Yeah.
understandable if you're a team trying to rebuild and you're at the bottom of the basement. That's
Right.
why I think a lot of people brought
Mhm.
him towards Arizona, a team that seemed like they could get some things going, but maybe change a quarterback, different,
Yep.
feel for Tua. Let's see what happens type of year. You're not really looking at a whole lot here. You're not expected much out of your team. Let's see what you can do with what you have here. And then we'll look at the future. Let's build something. And I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
Atlanta isn't at building something. I think they just need another piece or two and they can make some moves.
Yeah, they need extra help at receiver. I mean,
Mm,
that's really what they desperately need. They need someone to team up with Drake London, and right now
yeah.
Kyle Pitts is still a Falcon, so,
Mhm.
sounds like he's gonna be staying at least for this year under the tag. But man, they need to add a few more pieces offensively, and I think they're gonna be I mean, they're already dangerous with Bijan Robinson, obviously, in the backfield, and that really good offensive line. And the defense was really good. I mean, honestly, the defense really played well last year too, so they're not far. They're not far from making a run, at least for their South Division, and it could happen this year. But again, it's gonna be predicated on these quarterbacks staying healthy. I don't care who the starter is. They gotta stay healthy. Penix especially because he's so young. Because if he starts going through the NFL and it seems like every year he's getting even if it's a minor injury, it doesn't have to be major, but even if it's minor and he's gonna miss a couple weeks and then he comes back and then 4 weeks later he gets injured again and then comes back. Like if that starts to become, routine, that's gonna be a red flag. And the Falcons are gonna have to go and look yet again for another quarterback. So hopefully that's not the case, but, they're a team that has a lot to figure out still.
Yeah, definitely, Joe. Yeah,
I
we'll look
got
at
an
that moving
update
forward.
I got an update about the Dallas Cowboys. and
All right.
I don't know if someone has talked to someone within the building for Dallas or whatnot, but it said that they're not expected to reengage in Crosby
Talk.
talks.
Yep. Yep.
So that's you can just write that team off at least for right now.
Yep.
But everybody in the everybody that's here want to hear from you guys about the Falcons situation. This quarterback, I don't know what you call it, musical chairs at this point. We want to hear from you guys, Falcons fans, NFL fans. What do you think about this whole situation that they got in Atlanta? Is Tua the answer? Is Tua the problem? Is Penix? Are you giving up on Penix because he's getting injured? I know it's young in his career, but man, should you just give the kid a chance? Like let him start. Have Tua be the backup just in case. So definitely drop down the comments down below.
All right. Next
All
up.
right, we got another trade to talk about. I know we talked about this off air. I figure it's a big enough name to like. I think we at least touch on it. Minka Fitzpatrick gets dealt, and he ends up going to the Jets. Man, I am. First of all, I have to apologize to Minka. We are absolutely all of us NFL fans feel so sorry for you that you have to be traded to the Jets, and it's a place that nobody wants to go, but some people are forced, like yourself. Condolences. But the Jets only give up they exchange actually a
Mm.
26th seventh round pick. That's it.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Not
That's,
much. Yeah.
and that same pick they already got from the Chargers. So they're giving up the
Yeah.
Chargers sixth round pick basic or seventh round pick basically. So
Mhm.
such cheap compensation for a very productive Minka Fitzpatrick. And this guy has been, he went to the Steelers. He's been a Dolphin. Now he's going to oh god, to be a Jet, I guess. I mean, yikes. But yeah, he agrees to a 3-year, $40 million deal. He can't be happy. I don't care what he says in his PR moments, in his press conference or whatnot. He's definitely not a happy camper. Uh, but man, Jim, I got to ask you, like, what were your thoughts on this trade? Do you think? I mean, for the most part, it was moving on from the contract for the
Yeah.
Dolphins, and Minka Fitzpatrick is a New York Jet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand it on the Jets' point of view. I mean, and he didn't give up much of anything like you did. He basically swapped stuff. So I mean, the value was all there for them. So I'd say that the Jets absolutely won this trade if you wanted to grade it, in my opinion, because it's funny to see a guy that I thought was very productive on the field for the last couple seasons, even for when he was with the Steelers, and they moved on for him to try and free up space and make some moves there. And I thought it was understandable for the Dolphins, and now for him to just go for a seventh swap, I thought was crazy. But I guess to each his own, and how some of these teams see veteran players, so they just would unload them here to, that baggage for basically nothing, just to kind of free up the space. So I see the Jets a good spot for them. That's good for them, and kudos for them. But it's probably just like you said as well, another safety slash corner that is really good for the Jets. Yeah, on a
Yeah, very
terrible team.
productive.
Yeah, on a
Yeah,
terrible team. So
if listen, all I have to say is if that was the case, and I knew that's all I had to give up as a seventh rounder for a proven safety,
yeah, yeah,
sign me up.
yeah, yeah.
Vegas Raiders. What the hell?
Right, right, yeah,
Why
well, what
wouldn't you
happened
give up a
there?
seventh rounder for
Right?
this guy? Come on.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, yeah, so then there was also another trade that happened. Rashawn Gary, formerly of the Packers, gets sent to the Dallas Cowboys in exchange for a 27 fourth round pick. Not something, I guess it's not super high, but it is kind of when you're talking about fourth round, like it's a valuable pick that they gave up. But to get Rashawn Gary, who had a down year. He's 28 years old. He recorded 45 total tackles, had 7 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 PBU. So he didn't have the best year, but by those stats, like not terrible either. Somebody who is a guy who you put on the edge that can rush. Now, how is he going to translate going to Dallas in a 4-3? I know that in Green Bay, when his hand in the dirt when he first got there as a rookie, he struggled. He just had a hard time getting off blocks. Now he's going to Dallas. How are they going to utilize him? Are they going to try to keep him just rushing off the edge, standing up as like a linebacker or not? So a lot of questions got to be answered for Dallas. But again, they missed out on the Crosby trade. You know, when the Crosby trade went initially down to be sent to Baltimore, they were in the belief that they were very close to getting him, and then found out when they found out that they couldn't get him, they pivoted and they made this trade for Rashawn Gary. You saw the exchange there relatively quick once they got the news. Now they got another pass rusher for them. Now nowhere close to the caliber of Crosby, but
Mhm.
again, they had to make a change. So they do that. And Jim, would you give up a fourth rounder for Gary?
I think I would. I think his production has been there. Yes, he had a down year last year, but I think the whole defense
Not
as a
terrible.
whole, had a little bit of a down year there, especially with Micah Parsons being injured. But no, yeah, exactly. I thought for that's fine because we were looking at him coming out of the draft and we weren't sure about him too, and the way he has produced for Green Bay. So I see them being aggressive and trying to get more players, and you've seen this since they did the trade for Micah Parsons. It's almost like
Hmm.
trade him away. Then they're like, oh, wait, yeah, we really need somebody there. So they signed this guy. They signed this guy. They, bring in what you would call it, a bunch of former, players and stuff to try and fill gaps here and there. And like, oh, now we're doing better. And they're pulling around. And it seems like a little bit more of that is happening. We're grabbing some pretty good talent now, not of one Micah Parsons or this and this. We're grabbing some really great defensive talent. And don't forget that they also have the 2 first-round picks, the number 12 and the number 28th pick in this draft from that trade for Micah Parsons. And they also gained 2 extra fifth-round compensatory picks. So they have some picks to work with too, on top of things. So I feel like they're spending some money to get some good players and then attack some more efforts in the draft. And what allowed that is something that I had talked about that needed to happen. If you're a quarterback and you care about winning and you care about your franchise, you got to do something with the contract. And the Cowboys restructured Dak Prescott's contract, which was, I think, key to make this happen. I've been complaining about this for a while. Finally gets it
Yes,
done.
you have.
Tyler Smith and CD Lamb also as well. You can't say, hey, show me my money. And then when we're not winning, like, oh, what happened? Well, are
Right.
you going to win all these games by yourself? That's what I'm paying you for. Yeah, so that's what allowed all this to happen. So I mean, I like the move for them. I think
Mhm.
it'll be a good, like you said, I don't know about the defense, like you said, that the way now
I just
putting
don't
the
know
heat
what
of dirt on there
I don't know
was going to
about
be
the
like
fit.
the fit, absolutely. But I think he's a really good player, and I think that's what the Dallas needs right here. Still weak in the linebacker position, which I think they'll try to address
In the
further
draft.
down the line in the draft.
Yeah. Uh, Cowboys currently are 4 million over the cap. Obviously, they're very
Mm,
close. They can easily uh, get that
yeah.
worked out. But again, they are still not under the cap, and they need to get under cap by 4 p.m. tomorrow. Is when the official league, a new start of the league for next season starts. So that's something to monitor. See if what other moves they do should be interesting.
Hmm.
Moving on, we're gonna move on to the another trade that happened. Colts former starter Michael Pittman Jr. gets traded to the Steelers, and this was a move that you could read the tea leaves a little bit with Indianapolis, how much they wanted to keep Alec Pierce on the roster, a young receiver, a guy who was going to command, definitely a big raise, and we saw evidence of that when they pulled the trigger to keep him. And they had to get rid of salary elsewhere. So Michael Pittman goes for I don't have the trade value, but it was like a day 3 pick. It was like a 6th or 7th round pick. So really nothing. Just to move on from his contract. He goes to the Steelers. Steelers now they have a number 2 right next to DK Metcalf. I think that's pretty good for both teams. The Colts get to unload money. The Steelers get their second wide receiver now to pair up with DK Metcalf. Hopefully, they're hoping that entices Aaron Rodgers to make a decision soon. But nonetheless, they make the move. I think it works out for both teams in different ways. What do you think, Jim, about the Steelers?
Adding a pretty good player. Again, it was basically late round swaps, Pittman and a 7th for the Colts get a round pick. He did now sign a 3-year deal for worth $59 million here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I understand it from both points of view because Michael Pittman Jr. His production had dipped, and I was hoping last year that he would start to come around a little bit here, but kind of took a spike, at least in touchdown receptions, but the yardage just isn't there. So the Steelers trying to grab another kind of decent wide receiver, which I think he is. We don't know the situation at the quarterback position there, though. So, I mean, I think that's
Right.
going to be an interesting perspective moving forward. For them, again, it didn't really cost them much or whatever. So I understand them grabbing some of that. And Colts also moving on and like you said, investing into Alec Pierce, who did really well, especially with Daniel Jones right there at the helm. So that's going to be possibly another good quarterback wide receiver duo to look at this upcoming season here.
Speaking of quarterbacks, we talked about the quarterback situation in Atlanta. You brought his name up earlier in the show. Malik Willis. We got to talk about the
Mhm,
number one free agent quarterback that was available. And honestly, we called it, Jim. He ended up going to the Miami Dolphins.
mhm,
Kind of like rekindling the relationship that he had with Jeff, Heafetley, uh,
mhm,
new head coach now of the Dolphins. So he goes to a familiar face and he knows that coach. He's going to help out with kind of changing the mindset a little bit with Miami Dolphins fans about their quarterback situation, giving them a guy who has shown up. Like Green Bay, first of all, we got to give kudos to the Packers organization for it doesn't matter what quarterback they have in their repertoire. Somehow they find a way to make these guys even better. They
mhm.
do a great job of developing quarterbacks time and time again. You can see the history of them going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, to Jordan Love, and Malik Willis recently. However, little bit of a smaller sample size of production. Like the guy hasn't been a starter for very long. He's had a few games where he looked great, but now he goes to Miami to where he's given the starting role now. Let's see if he can be great or at least very good all season long and gets an opportunity to start in this league. This is something that stemming from his Tennessee Titan days where he really didn't get an opportunity there. Now he's getting one full circle in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I like the move there too. It's understandable why you see this a lot with coaches. I know I'm experiencing it with as a New York Giants fan, where you have John Harbaugh grabbing a bunch of former Ravens and stuff. Do like
Right.
some of the moves that he is doing there, and the Packers. You see more of that too, and I think it's very interesting and how a different scenery can change things, right? I mean, you've seen this happen. Sam Darnold right there is the poster child for that right now. So if there was an NFL poster right now that they could put, they would be putting like it would be like the old army like branding. It'd be like Sam Darnold, be all you can be, right? Because it moved on from different teams, and now he's with the Seattle Seahawks, cast aside a few different others, but he really came up through the 49ers branch, and now a Super Bowl champion. So anything is possible. Redemption songs are here. Malik Willis, drafted by Tennessee when there was a bit of a quarterback battle out there right after they had got
Will Levis.
Will Levis right there too. So now he just gets a chance to start this last season. And like you said, he was one of the number one touted free agents out there. I
100%.
mean, who ever saw that really like coming? So we're able to change his trajectory of his career, and kudos to him to start for the Miami Dolphins. But let's see what happens under this regime and what they can do moving forward. Obviously, for them, they would want to keep the running game going too. So
Obviously,
get
yeah.
that effective there, get that going well for him. And Malik Willis can also make plays on his own too with his legs too. So a lot of different things that they can do there for Miami. So it's a good fresh start. I like the move too. And I wish him the best on this one.
I think Malik Willis really needs to give half his guaranteed money to the Green Bay Packers organization at this point. I mean, they have done wonders with this guy,
Yeah,
and kudos to them for him to get the deal that he got.
yeah.
And it's not, it's nothing like, oh my God, it's right up there with Mahomes' deal or anything like that. No, but it is on the lower end in terms of the market. But again, he's getting a tremendous raise in Miami, getting a real shot to be a starter. Dolphins fans, we want to hear from you guys. How stoked are you guys? It seems like you're going to have, I know it's all potential at the moment, but you got to like him better than Tua at this point. And I think you're getting yourself a very good underrated quarterback, and you'll see it this season. Let us know in the comments down below. Jim, I'm getting drip
Yeah.
feed of updates on Maxx Crosby still. Max continues to be on track, and this is from his agent. Max continues to be on track in his recovery, and if anything, is ahead of schedule, according to his surgeon, Dr. Neil L. Atrache, something like that. Atrache.
Mm.
I'm definitely butchering his name. Um, but Max remains on track to return during the offseason program and will undoubtedly return as the dominant game wrecker he has been the past 7 seasons.
Uh,
I the
we're
story
obviously
keeps
gonna hear
getting
that though
weirder.
too, but, we're
It
we're gonna hear both sides. We're gonna hear, "Well, yeah, this and this and blah, blah," and we're gonna hear
all
that.
one
Obviously,
side.
on his side, they're gonna say so, but
I've
I
heard
think
doctors
Baltimore's gonna
now. I've
yeah,
heard
yeah.
I've heard, a GM, unnamed, obviously, saying
Yeah.
that this failing the physical is complete BS.
Mhm.
So we'll see how what other news kinda gets stripped out. But, next one that we're
Let's
gonna talk about is Jalen Phillips, one of the biggest pass rushers that was available. Played with the Eagles last year, got traded to them, played with them last year, had a great season, by the way, and stayed healthy. That was one of the knocks on him is that he was always injured, but now he turns that into a big contract, going to the Carolina Panthers, which was interesting. So Panthers kinda boosting up that defense a little bit even more, getting Jalen Phillips there, and we might as well talk about them both at the same time. Devin Lloyd also goes to the Panthers as well, so, adding the top middle linebacker available and also getting themselves one of the best, if not the best, free agent D end. I know Trey Hendrickson's out there, but we're talking about young guys too. Uh, Phillips, if Phillips can stay healthy, Lloyd, is going to make a big, huge impact. But Jim, I got to tell you, as much as we kind of clown on the offense of the Carolina Panthers, they're really shaping this defense up to be super nasty this year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and I think they were starting to make an impact a little bit last year, and now this is what they're doing, they're bolstering it up. They saw the potential that they could have by making a playoff run. Now, let's get the defense going, let's keep this team into it, but, like I said, the offense, we've gotta take a look at that. They have to really inspect the quarterback position. I think is a question mark. You've had too many highs and too many lows, from the quarterback position, and that's something that you can win with, but not as far. It only takes you so far, and we saw that
Right,
in the
right,
playoffs. You need a guy that can march down the field to get you those game winners, and he has done that at times, but not
right.
consistently, and that's the
Correct.
issue here for the Carolina Panthers for me. But besides that, it's a high, risk, high reward type of thing though. It's like, hey, let's give him the deal. But
Great.
if he stays healthy, here we go. So I think that's the one thing they've got going for him and what they decided to do. Now you pair him with Derek Brown here. Now Phillips
Oh,
expected to
yeah.
anchor, a 1-2 punch for him. So I think it's understandable. We just hope that he can stay healthy and not another, Achilles ACL injury type of thing.
Yeah, you already seen the corners are locked down. Now you're
Hmm.
gonna have Devin Lloyd roaming the middle of the field as well as Jalen Phillips screaming off the edge. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they did really good so far in the free agency. I do agree with you though. Their quarterback needs to be more consistent. We're gonna find out this year. I think this is the year where they decide whether to keep or move on from him.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we said that last year, but
Right.
hey, he
I think it
did
has to
show
be.
a little bit of promise. So I think they're
Right.
gonna keep that
It
uh,
has to be because that could be a coach killer. Because right now, I think by them making the playoff run that they did, that
yeah,
definitely saved time for Dave Canales, to keep it going here. I don't think he was really on the hot seat, but if you continuously to lose, I think things start to stir up. But I feel like if you made that playoff run now, which they did, and now the
mhm,
quarterback struggles again this season, you've got the
right,
opportunity to correct that
yes,
mistake in the following year.
yep, make that change.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker, one of the biggest names out there for running back that was available in free agency, signs with none other, and I heard a couple teams in on this guy, like, I heard Washington was pushing for him, Tennessee even, and it turns out Kansas City Chiefs, somehow, some way, they get their cap number way down so much so that they were able to spend big on the former Super Bowl champion with the Seattle Seahawks, Kenneth Walker from at running back. What a huge, and I mean huge upgrade in the backfield. I gotta say, like, I honestly can't believe the Chiefs pulled it off. I really don't. I thought for
Uh,
sure that they were going to go into the draft and maybe see if they
Mhm.
could get Jeremiah Love somehow, even if they had to trade up a little bit. But here you go. They go all in, push the chips
Well,
in
it
the
is one
middle
of
of the
those
table.
positions that seems like that they do well in the draft. You seen them go and they've gotten, like a Pacheco in the draft. They went and they got,
Isaiah
I
Pikachu
yeah, yeah,
Pacheco.
Pikachu. But, Saint Hilaire too as well, so, I mean, they've had the effective draft there in the running back position, so the fact that they throw the money here to make him now he's the highest paid or one of the highest paid running backs, I think, in the NFL right now, average per year, somewhere around there.
Yeah, at the
Um
see that's the only problem is with these contracts. First of all, they become official 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
Mhm.
But if they do, then I think the details start coming out, like
Yeah, yeah,
how much they're actually getting paid per year. It's never
right.
what we assume,
Mhm.
but yeah, you're right. He's
But, I
definitely
mean,
getting
to make
big
that
paid
type
big
of
time.
investment, that shows me now that they feel like now's the time again with that Patrick Mahomes gonna be there for a while. Travis Kelce, he's gonna do another year. That means
You broke the news. I was
what's
just
the timeline for Andy Reid then? That says to me, hey, let's win one more for Travis and Andy, and then what happens after that? That's what it kind of seems like to me. Like, let's get that. We had an issue with the running game. I feel like if we fix the running game, we can cut that offense to where it was. Our defense can still play really well. We can go out and win another one right now.
Chiefs better figure out their right tackle before they do all that,
Well,
because I'll
I
tell
get
you
that.
right now, the Chiefs
But I
got an
mean,
uphill
what do
battle
you gotta
with a
replace
lot of
though,
these
Joe?
other teams. You know what I'm saying? A lot
I
of these
know you
other
won't be
teams
getting those good calls, but
are definitely getting closer to outplaying the Chiefs at this point. If you look
mhm,
at the Chargers, how well they did this year. They
mhm,
came up
mhm,
short,
mhm,
but still, they were in the hunt. Obviously, they were decimated with injuries. The Broncos, hopefully they can get more consistent on offense, but that
mhm,
defense is impeccable. So, Chiefs got a long way to go, I feel like, with all this competition in the AFC. So, even though it's good for them that they got Kenneth Walker, obviously, but again, this
mhm,
is a guy that gets injured a lot, and he hasn't been given the full-time duties all year long since Zach Charbonnet came into the fold. And this year, especially, the reason why Walker stayed healthy was because they were basically splitting the carries almost straight down the middle. So I wonder now that he's going to be taking on a bigger role yet again, just how long will he last? Will it be all season? Will it be half the season? So got to be careful too with some of these players. Even though he's 25 years old, I think it's a great signing. Don't get me wrong, but you hope that he can change his ways in terms of not getting injured for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Joe, I think there's one team you're kind of avoiding, and I don't know if it's because 'cause you're shy or if you don't think as much about it because it's your team. Why don't we talk about your Raiders and what they've been doing, man?
We're getting
I
to
mean,
that. You
yeah,
just gotta wait, Jim. It's called
you say
patience. Gotta do what you gotta do. I
I don't
mean,
know.
now we're
We
gonna
gotta get
start
to
it.
it.
So, well, yeah, you just had to wait. I was about to bring it up, Jim. You can't be doing this. You can't be cutting off the rhythm here, brother. But
Oh.
man, ESPN announced when it happened. Ravens free agent center Tyler Linderbaum, the biggest free agent available. And I know it's an offensive lineman, and some people are going to scoff at the idea of, oh, who cares? This guy blocks people. But man, the hype around Linderbaum is real. There was a lot of teams that were interested, but only a few that could afford this kind of a contract
Mhm,
that he was going to command. Record deal with the Raiders, who are awarding him with a 3 year, that's right, 3 years, $81 million deal, includes $60 million guaranteed, makes him the highest paid interior offensive lineman in the NFL today. They spend big money to get a guy who they deem as a difference maker, a guy who is not just a center, but he's the quarterback of your offensive line. And in Clint Kubiak's offense, the center's really important because they make all the checks and balances at the offensive line. They make all the calls, the blocking schemes. El Linderbaum is a absolute menace when it comes to run blocking, and he's good against the pass, but he's not a menace against the pass. So pass
mhm,
pro, sometimes he might get beat. We'll just say that. Like he just might get beat once in a while. But the real strength is running the ball, and that's exactly what the Raiders want to do. So I think this is probably one of the most anticipated signings, we all knew before this tampering period started, the Raiders were going to go heavy towards him. But another couple other teams that were really pushing hard, uh, Washington, Tennessee were involved. But in the end, the Raiders were willing to pay more than all of them and get their guy. So this is a team that was desperate for offensive line help, and they get Tyler Linderbaum. So, Jim, this is one of many big time signings that they had. They really in the first day, I think they had 8 new starters.
Mhm.
They re-signed, the corner there. I'm escaping my memory right now. They also go out and they get Nate Nakobe Dean. They get Quay Walker. These are all big, huge names. Everybody knows these names. Quiddy Pay at defensive end. They are completely changing and overhauling this defensive side of the ball, and not just with guys like, aging vets coming in for a year or two. No, these are guys young and in their prime, already proven, and this defense looks vastly different. And if Crosby is to stay in Vegas, you look at that defensive front right now.
Mhm.
I mean, holy crap.
Yeah,
Mahomes
oh,
is
I
shitting
know.
his pants right now.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what's funny is too is they did this in lieu of planning on that trade going down because
Right.
Kwity Paye that they were figuring, let's bring him in to address that immediate void that's left by Maxx Crosby right there. And yeah, I mean that's a great impact player. On top of it, you've talked about Tyler Linderbaum, solid here at the center position to
Amazing.
protect that quarterback. So we've seen the Raiders under, with some co-ownership or Tom Brady, with it trying to get the thing fixed. What are we going to do? Last year was, let's bring in, an aging coach who's kind of past his years
He's
and
a
Geno
winner.
Smith and see what
He's a
happens.
winner.
Now this year they're like, well, it didn't really work out that way. Well, we tried like a retool or kind of see what this works. Now we know we're getting the number 1 overall pick. We're going to go quarterback. We're going to bring in a head coach to help train that quarterback to get him where he needs to be. So we need to set him up for success. And we have the money. So let's go all in. That's what they decided to do here. Let's bring in a quarterback here, brand new, fresh off the street, with the quarterback to be with him, get a center to protect him, and get a defense that has been struggling here. Now you've got Nakobe Dean there, like you said as well, Quiddy Pay. Quay Walker, I love him too, even with Green Bay, So, I mean, that is
Great.
great. And even another wide receiver in Jalen Naylor, too. I like that situation, too, because he's just a
Sleeper.
solid, under the
Sleeper.
radar, addition, for a nice weapon from. So, and then you can even talk about Malcolm Kuntz, and Eric Stokes too on top of it in the corner position. So a lot of good solid moves to make this team instantly better. So this
Yeah.
only sets up your fresh rookie quarterback for success. So I think this is really setting him up here. And I think that the Raiders are making some great moves here to where the first year was kind of feel it out. Let's see what happens when we do this. Now we have the capital. Now we're going to get a rookie quarterback here who we feel can be the franchise quarterback. Let's protect him and let's train him well. So I like the position and what they're doing here. And I think this year could be a really good turnaround year for the Raiders.
Yeah, and honestly, like, this is the first time. I mean, I'm a Raiders fan. A lot of people know that. If you don't know it, cat's out of the bag. I've been really, you could almost say, like, I was ready to jump off a cliff at times because it never seemed like anything was gonna get any better. It seemed like they constantly made poor decisions and, wasteful with money, signing guys and never working out, and even coming on the wrong side of trades. So, for the first time, I can say as a Raiders fan, like, I know Raider Nation is super psyched for the first time we're actually almost acting like a legitimate team would. We're almost, like, well run at this point, and a lot of kudos have to go to John Spytek as the GM, Clint Kubiak, who has a vision for his offense and his team, newly appointed Rob Leonard, and Tom Brady, who has been definitely a voice in the building and knows what it takes to win. So even though I don't think he's making not making personnel decisions, he's not making talent evaluation decisions, but he has a vision himself that he wants a winner. He's got 10%
Mhm.
ownership of the company and he wants it to do extremely well. So he's definitely part of it as well. So yeah, Jim, I gotta say, Raiders so far, and the crazy thing is, free agency isn't over with, and surprisingly, even with this Crosby thing not working out and him coming back, so at least at this moment is a Raider.
Mhm.
They still have money left over, which is crazy. So who knows if they do anything else? They might not. But I think they've pretty much outdid themselves in any offseason already.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's definitely enough to make you feel good about the position that you're in right now moving forward.
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's the first time I've actually seen the Raiders do stuff or make moves like a team that knows what they're doing. That's it's just that simple. So, I mean, typically it's like, oh, they're not doing anything, but it's different now. So we'll see if it continues. Obviously, they still got the draft and they got a lot of picks as well. So they could really do if they manage to hit in the draft, they set themselves up pretty well to maybe in 2 years be a very competitive team.
Mhm.
We'll move on to Rashid Shaheed. That was a lot of talk with the Raiders too. He was linked to maybe following Clint Kubiak yet again. Ends up staying in Seattle, signs a huge contract. I
Yeah.
didn't anticipate that, but he stays in Seattle.
I think you definitely have to link him to them winning. I mean, they were doing well before, but it was another level when he was brought in.
I mean, his return factor too, like him returning the
Mhm.
football as well. So I think it's a good decision by
Mhm.
Seattle, but they did pay him more than I expected him to get. So
Yeah.
uh, maybe they got a little antsy too. They didn't want to
Mhm.
lose him just because. Other than that, you look at what else we got. We need big time signings. Oh,
Well, I
yeah, so,
think
Romeo Doubs ends up agreeing to a deal with the New England Patriots team that needs wide receivers. They move on
yeah.
from Stephon Diggs because that guy's a
Yeah.
problem child.
Mhm.
And now they got Doubs, so, a great I think he's a underrated receiver, and
Mhm.
this guy can be dynamic for you. He can play anywhere too. He can play in the slot, he can play outside, so you got that versatility with him, and this is just gonna help Drake May out. Drake May and him are gonna get along just fine. The New England
Mhm.
Patriots definitely have a lot of money still,
Yeah.
and they're not done yet either signing players.
Yeah, I like this move too, just because
Love
again,
it.
it's a big playability, and again, not a super aging player out of it, so I think it's going to be working out for them, and they still have money to sign a bigger guy or an aging veteran like they've done before in the past.
Mhm.
We've seen them on some of these veterans in here, a winner now.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys, that are you're still out there that are just, veterans, but we're asking a whole lot, all of a sudden find a spot and you're like, man, now the Patriots got him. We're like, oh, that could be a good landing spot. I mean, like, man, look at that. We've seen it before with the Patriots. Just because Bill Belichick isn't there anymore doesn't mean none of that isn't going to go down. So I like it a lot. Kudos to them.
Yeah, I think it's a good one for them. Trey Hendrickson, big name, everybody knows Trey. The Bengals fans are well aware that he's a free agent right now, and still waiting for a team to kind of work the kinks out on a new deal. However, he reportedly will not compromise on his contract asking price. So it sounds like he's overpricing himself at the moment,
Hmm.
and sometimes this happens with guys that have been productive historically in their career, and they reach a point in terms of age where some teams might not be comfortable with giving a big contract and maybe even like a 3 to 4 year extension to a guy who's already past 30, because at some point this guy's going to decline. Now, I don't necessarily think it'll be this year, but it might be soon. And that's what's scaring some teams off. So now that Crosby got rescinded in his deal, the trade, do the Baltimore Ravens now switch gears and look at maybe getting Trey Hendrickson in the building and trying to work on a deal? That's a possibility. Dallas Cowboys, I think, are still interested in kicking the tires and seeing if they can come to a deal. There's going to be other teams as well, but I feel like his asking price is too high at the moment. And until maybe that comes down now, a lot of times what teams will do is they'll make these guys sweat. You won't hear any phone
Yeah.
calls. Your agent's like, "Has anybody called yet?" No. I mean, maybe one team, but they are not interested at that number. And
Yeah.
it gets a little frustrating for these players sometimes because, yes, is he worth big money? Yeah, currently. but he's not in his prime anymore. So
Yeah.
that's the sticking point. Jim, I gotta say, where do you think this guy ends up? Do you think it's a possibility for Baltimore? Do you think this guy goes maybe somewhere we're not even thinking about? Um, it's just one of these weird situations now that Trey Hendrickson's in.
I think after the situation with Maxx Crosby, I think there's a really good chance he goes to Baltimore. I feel like they are gonna
You
he's
think they'd
gonna
be willing to give
split
up,
it out.
north of 30?
I don't know about that though, because I feel like a lot of teams are gonna sweat it out though. And, the thing is, Trey Hendrickson shot
Whatever
his
his name
shot.
is.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson shot his shot last year. Where'd that lead him? You know what I mean? You got tagged and you're here for
Coming back
another
from
year,
injury
and
too.
then that's it. He felt like he was productive enough, tried to get a bigger money deal. They didn't feel like it, and they didn't invest in that. So what's another team going to do? They're not gonna do the same thing. You're another year older. That was your shot. That was your chance. You're not TJ Watt staying with the Steelers and they give you a legacy deal because you've done so well for them and just stuck around and we're going to give you this money here because you deserve it. The Bengals didn't treat you that way. So I don't see going to another franchise and saying, "Hey, well, this is how much I'm worth because I feel like it now. I'm about to get paid." They don't need to look at it. You're a new employee. They'll pay you for what they feel like they want to bring you on at. So I think he is going to sweat it out a little bit. It's early on. I mean, we're talking about the first phase of signings and trades right now. So I think it's going to be a little bit still, but when it comes down to it, he is going to bend and flex. In his mind, he should for a contender again. You've been on a Bengals team that has been close a few times, but one right
Right.
there to the Super Bowl. We know about that one specific time, but
Mhm.
that they invested all in the offense and said, forget you guys. You're on your own out here. Time to move on and go to another team that's pretty balanced all around. You could just be that additional chess piece to help get them over the edge, and you could walk out of here at 32 years old with a ring. You should have that in your frame of mind right now, not so much as I need to make what I should be earned already by now.
Can we talk about how I know everybody keeps, pointing the finger at Trey going to Baltimore. I mean, obviously that's an obvious opportunity for him because of what happened, what went down with Crosby. But
Jamar Chase will probably be really pissed then, right?
my thing, yeah, right. His his rant that he had. The dude, I don't know if anybody out there
Uh,
realizes that, Jamar Chase was actually playing, I think it was COD or something like Call of Duty, and he literally stopped playing. He got the news on his phone, and all you heard was audio. You just heard him
mhm,
flipping out. He's like, "Are you kidding me? No way. This did not just happen.
mhm,
How did we let this happen?
mhm.
Why didn't we go get Crosby?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What the fuck? What
Yeah,
are we
yeah, yeah.
doing?
Yeah, yeah,
Why would
yeah.
we let this happen? Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?" He just
yeah,
kept saying it over
yeah,
and
yeah,
over and
yeah,
over.
yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
hilarious. If anybody out there gets a chance to, make sure you look that up. It's probably all over YouTube or TikTok or something like that. It's absolutely hilarious. But anyway, my thing with all this is everybody's looking at the defense, right? Where the Ravens have been lacking a dominant pass rusher. But to me, that's not the biggest problem. Your biggest problem is offense. Your biggest problem is the lack of receivers, lack of high end receivers. You guys keep kicking the can down the road and signing a veteran who's been around the game past 30, and he comes in with Zay Flowers, and you expect Lamar Jackson to tear it up in passing yards. We have not seen any evidence of this offense getting better. It's been Lamar Jackson, and if Lamar Jackson doesn't do Lamar Jackson things, they suck on offense. They're not as good. They have to run constantly. We saw Derrick Henry. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that their offense is pitiful, like they can't score points or anything, but it seems like in games that they can't run, when they play these better defenses, usually it's in the postseason, and they start to get held up, and Derrick Henry gets kind of put into a box, and Lamar's not being Lamar and running out of the pocket and going taking off down the field. Now you got to throw the ball, and it hasn't worked out well for them. So, Jim, what do you make of the Ravens situation right now? Do you think they're prepared to, like, now that the Crosby thing didn't work out? Do you think they'd pay that much money and not really work on the offense, or do you think that they're gonna be looking to the draft for that?
I think they're gonna go to the draft for that, for the offensive side of the ball. I think they're comfortable in that, but you got a defensive-minded coach there now.
Mhm.
Again, what is he gonna do? He's gonna try and go all defense, right? And build up that defense to what they're known for, Baltimore. They need to get that snap, that bite back,
They
that
were
they
already
had.
really
That's
good
what they
too.
were
Yeah.
looking to try and do, yes. Um, but a team that underwhelmed. I think it
Mhm.
was last year, I think their rankings was, I think 24th in total yards allowed. I mean, that's not a Baltimore Ravens defense we're talking about. So you've got Minter in there now. Now he's going to take this and attack the situation. You want to get that better and then not give up those big leads or something because the offense was running. You're doing well. You're winning games. And then you'd give them up in the end. That's partially on defense on that top of that as well. It's some of it might have been game management, and I get that too. But a lot of it, your defense just giving up the plays. How many times did we see all of a sudden just bombs land there and you're like, what the heck is going on? Where it only seemed like Kyle Hamilton was the only one doing something or something for the team. It's like, dudes, what's going on here? So I feel like they really do need to address the defense, and I think the offense, it'll straighten itself out and do its thing. They still have enough
Jim,
talent there right now.
I think they need new doctors. That's what I think. Because to me, their training staff and their doctors, whoever they got working on these athletes and trying to keep them healthy, are failing. Because last year, that defense went through such turmoil with
Oh, yeah.
injuries.
Mhm.
Hamilton missing significant time, Nate Wiggins missing time. It seemed like it was like musical chairs. Every other week, there was a different player that was down. Kyle Vanoy didn't even play for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think that defense is as bad as those stats read off. If everybody's completely healthy, that defense early on in the season was stout. That defense was locked down. And I think if they can manage to keep everybody healthy this upcoming season, they're going to be super dominant regardless whether they add a pass rusher or not, or maybe even go into the draft and try to get someone young to add to that defense. So, and they've done a great job at that. Like you look at that defense, it's pretty young. Like they're pretty tenacious. So we'll see how that all unfolds. But last but not least, Jim, we got to touch on this guy here. This happened today. Tariq Woolen signs a 1-year deal, $15 million to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this move is incredible because now you look at this secondary and what was a very big weakness for the Philadelphia Eagles, not Quinion Mitchell's side, but the opposite side was lacking. And it looked abysmal at times. Tariq Woolen is now going to plant himself at least for 1 year. It's on a prove it kind of deal to where maybe if everything works out, the Eagles will give him a long-term contract. But now you got
Mhm.
Quinion Mitchell on one side, Reek Woolen on the other, Cooper
Mhm.
DeJean in the bat at
The
nickel or
nickel. Yep.
safety, wherever they
Yep.
put him.
Mhm.
Wow. I mean, they've made a major upgrade here.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, again, it's another team to where they're good and then they make some of these moves and you're like, "Oh, man, like really they did this now too?"
Yeah.
But
Right.
they attacked the weaknesses. That's where they were. That's where they got exposed last year. How many times did we talk about it? And they had uh which we call it on there too, which I was like, man, they really are struggling because they have him on there. It was a former giant, playing for them too as well. So I'm like, man, they are struggling in this position here, but I don't know why they didn't want to move Cooper DeJean out of the nickel so much, and maybe even and just shuffle it around. But it seemed like Vic Fangio was like, no, this is where I'm set, and this is where I want it, and this is how we're going to do this. But it was a Dory Jackson. Dory Jackson was out there. He was just struggling, but he
There
shouldn't
was
be out there.
musical chairs of,
Yeah,
of
he should have.
corners on
Yeah,
that
yeah, it
side.
was. It
There wa
was.
you had they traded, with the Raiders, they traded for one of
Mhm,
their corners to bring him
mhm.
into the
Yeah,
loop, and it
yeah.
was almost
So,
like a tryout session during the
mhm,
season. Like, it was like, "Oh, you're starting this week. Ah, you sucked. Get him out of there. Next week, you start this week. Ah, that didn't work either." So, uh,
yeah,
absolutely crazy how things change for sure. But Jim,
yeah,
that's all we got
absolutely.
for free agents and trades. We caught everybody up with the biggest signings, biggest trades that have transpired thus far. And free agency is by far not even close to being done. We're only a few days in. You know that there's plenty of quality players, maybe not high end elite players anymore. That's kind of diminished, but Trey Hendrickson's one to watch maybe tomorrow. Maybe something gets done with Trey Hendrickson tomorrow, whether it be the Baltimore Ravens, whether it be maybe even someone else. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, we were just
so
talking about the
tune
Eagles,
in.
Jalen Carter re-sign, or are the trade talks, or we're hearing about they're getting calls about trades happening with them too. I mean, there's a lot of
Here's
different names out there,
funny
in
thing
involved in
about
trades.
Jalen Carter, and we have to address this because I'm glad you brought this up. Everybody's wondering why the Eagles are trading Jalen Carter all of a sudden. And there's something up. It's not his lack of production. The guy's an absolute dog. He's dominant in the interior. So what's going on? He's still young. It's not like he's aging. Something's
It's
up.
probably
Well,
the
I'll
expulsion
tell
of
you right
bodily
now.
fluids.
I'll tell you right now. It's the shoulders. He has bad shoulders, everyone. I don't know if anybody knows this, but this
Hmm.
stems back from the combine. And that's why there were some teams that were kind of out on him. As good as he is, he's a ticking time bomb with an injury, and it's probably chronic, and that's why it's so serious right now. I don't even know. The same thing could happen with Crosby, like with the Maxx Crosby deal. If Jalen Carter gets traded and doctors check him out with whoever does end up maybe trading for him, they might squash it and say, no, this can't happen. So that is the rumor out of Philadelphia right now, is that there is a long-term concern for Jalen Carter, just how long his career is going to be. Now, obviously, I don't think this is the year where the Eagles were like, well, he can't play anymore. We got to deal him. That can't be true. It's more like maybe 3 years later, 2 years later, at some point, those shoulders might be chronic to the point where he has such a bad injury that he's not able to come back from. So I think that's why the Eagles are moving on from him, because it's awfully fishy how all of a sudden there's rumors about Jalen Carter being dealt when the guy has done nothing wrong, has been amazing on the football field. So we'll see. We'll have to monitor this and see if Carter gets dealt. But again, it's one of these weird situations where we're still going to be picking to see what really transpired with Crosby. But what is going to transpire with Jalen Carter? What team might be, daring enough to step up to the plate and maybe facilitate a trade?
Absolutely. So many storylines, so many different signings, trades, and it's just the beginning. By the time we go and some more videos here, a lot of different things are even going to go down, Joe. So we're excited to talk about it. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.
Hey everybody, this is William Del Pilar, founder of Grumblings Media, and I want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our all-volunteer efforts at Grumblings Media, smash the subscribe button right here. 100% free, and please consume and share our great content. Click either one of these two boxes for more of our work.